Hello everybody, it is Dennis and we're back with our monthly update on how much we've earned for the month of October. Yes, October is over. Of course, of the post of this video, it should be November 1st if everything goes well. And of course, the recording of the video is October 30th, one day before Halloween. And we're going over how much we have made for October. All the dividends are in, all the options are in, everything is calculated on our spreadsheet. We're going to see how much we've made for October, going over our weekly payments, going over all our monthly dividends, all of that sorts. We have it all out here to see. And of course, love being transparent as possible. That's why I love demonstrating all these dividends I'm earning, even if they're small, high, negatives, positives, just demonstrating how dividends and option tradings work and how you could put it into your own portfolio if you decide to do so. Of course, this is my financial opinion. This is just a video for entertainment purposes. Do not take any of this as financial advice. Do not. Okay. So starting off, of course, for October, no OHI payment because that is a quarterly paying dividend. Some of these ETFs you're going to see on the screen and stocks are minimal paying dividends. Not all the stocks and ETFs I own on my portfolio are high dividend yielding ETFs or high yielding option strategies. I do have safe strategies that I am putting money into as well on the side, such as OHI, which did not pay any dividend for this month. We also have Stag, which paid $4.06 for this month of October, increasing from 405, 404, as you can see, steadily increasing cent by cent. Nothing crazy, nothing dramatic, giving us a grand total so far of $47.81 for the year of 2024. From Maine, we have $5.43, lower than the $11.98 of previous month, higher than $5.34 of August, and that is totaling to $86.62. We are now moving in, of course, into YieldMax ETFs, which are high-yielding ETFs. We have $73.05 earned from AMZY, lower than $96.42, and lower than $73.07 from September and August. And that gives us a total of $645.13 so far earned from AMZY for 2024. 2 more months to go, so we're going to see how much that is. For TSLY, we had a high payment. I'm pretty sure it was $1 per share plus, and that gives a payment of $426.15. Of course, higher than September of $308.79 and August of $351.87, giving us a total so far of $3,676.47 earned. I continue to reinvest into TSLY, continue to reinvest into AMZY. TSLY, I'm still doing the 50-50 split. 50% of dividend goes into TSLY, 50% goes into other ETFs. And AMZY is similar strategy. Actually, I'm thinking of switching for all YieldMax ETFs, switching into 50-50 splits. So I'm able to, of course, put money back into the ETFs themselves, but then also take that money and put it maybe into weekly paying dividends, since they will be contributing more and more into my portfolio, and they're able to keep their NAV stable. But of course, next up is AMZY, which is paying $224 for the month of October, or have already paid $224 for the month of October, higher than $188.96 and higher than $129.29 from August, giving us a total of $1,760.45 so far earned from AMZY, beating AMZY, but still lower than TSLY. Of course, TSLY, I do have a larger position as well, I'm pretty sure, and TSLY does pay a little bit higher than AMZY usually. So yes, that is also a bias. For Coney, no payments. I've been out of this position for a while, but I still keep it on the list because it's a good way to track my overall income increases and decreases. For GUI, we have $81.98 for this month, lower than 133, lower than 113 of 86 in August and September, but still giving us an 81.98, which is not too shabby. And of course, it has been receiving some growth in the NAV because Google actually had its earnings report this week, and they blew it out of the ballpark, so they're doing quite well, or hit it out of the ballpark, so they're doing quite well. And that gave us $555.20, one of the lower paying YieldMax ETFs that I do own, but still very nice to have because the underlying is Google. Next up we have YMAX, which paid $246.02 YMAX has been performing quite well. I've been adding more and more shares into it. That is because it has switched over to the weekly paying dividend side, where it takes all the positions that it has, of course, in it. YMAX owns pretty much all the YieldMax ETFs, and it takes their distributions on that weekly schedule and pays it to you out on a weekly time frame. So they've been paying around 20 cents every single week. If you add that up, that's 80 cents a month. Usually before that, on the monthly schedule, they're paying 60 to 50 cents a month. So the 20 cents a week that you could compound through adds up to 80 cents a month, or sometimes even 90 cents a month if they have some high paying weeks sometimes. So you're beating the monthly payments that you usually have, or used to have with YMAX, and it keeps the NAV quite stable as well. Of course, the NAV depends on the price variations of the single stock ETFs or the single stock underlying ETFs. So if they'll stay stable, so will YMAX, but then also you're not losing on that high dividend being cut from your NAV. Like, the 60 cents being cut at one time, you're getting 20 cents cuts at a time, and they're able to grow back up and keep that NAV stable, which is the important part for this, yielding ETFs. So $246.02 beats $134.90 from September and beats $168.50 from August, giving us a total of $980.36. And we can look at all the individual payments from week to week basis for the YMAX payments. As you can see, week 1, 300 shares we got a payment of $20.76, giving us $62.37 for the first week of October. That was down negative 6.49% from the previous week. We then got another, again, week 2 payment, and we still were holding 300 shares. We got $20.44, again, above the 20-cent mark, and that was $61.41, and we're still down negative 1.54% from the week prior. Week 3, we had 304 shares. We added 4 extra shares into it, and we got $17.47. We got a total of $53.19, and that was down negative 13.39% from the week prior. And then finally, for this last week, or the week prior, we got 304 shares once again, and we got $22.68 and $69.05, beating all the previous weeks for October, and beating the week prior to that by 29.82%, and then beating month over month by 82.37% from September. Of course, it's beating it because we're missing 2 weeks of payments, because that is when they switched over to weekly paying dividends. So this is technically not truly true, or it doesn't really count, because we are missing 2 dividend payments. But still, we are continuing to have consistent payments. Like I said, around the 20 cent mark. We did have the $17.47 in week 3, but anyways, 20, 20, 22, and 17 is not too shabby in my opinion. As you can see, for the next week, for this week of recording, we also got a payment already, information for today on Wednesday. They announced it. So I'm at 360 shares now, $22.47, $80.99 paid, and that is 17.30% higher than the week 4. So doing quite well with YMAX, continuing to reinvest into YMAX. I like the stability of the NAV. I like the weekly payments staying stable. And I think that long term, this has a potential to be one of, like I mentioned before, YieldMax ETF's best ETFs that they have. Even though people call it the garbage can of YieldMax ETF, because all the ETFs are tossed in there compared to YMAG, it still continues to bring stable and positive growth when it comes to NAV and dividend payments. Okay, moving on. HTGC, no payments, quarterly paying dividend ETF. SPHD, I've sold out of, so you're no longer going to be seeing that. For EFC, which is another ETF that I own, it paid $16.63, nothing crazy, but it did beat $16.46 and $12.18 of previous months, and gives us a total of $146.63. For DHS, we got $10.09, being lower than $15.80 and lower than $16.46, but it didn't have share value growth, so therefore I don't mind it too much, and that gives us a total of $162.72. Like I mentioned before, I have a lot of ETFs that do not have that high of dividend payments. Their percentages are not that high, but I do like owning them anyways because they're a nice safe haven to have in the back in case, of a red day, a bad day, and you need to just have some dividend income come in to maybe cover some margin calls or some stuff like that. So GGRW, no dividends. SCHH, quarterly paying ETF. Our ITM is quarterly paying ETF. TSLY we've sold out of. So we have QDTE, which paid us $143.72, lower than $165 and lower than the $238 of previous months, giving us a total of $638.75. And we could go ahead and take a look at that right now. So why is it lower? Well, our distributions were lower than the previous months and the previous weeks. So for October, week 1, we had 139 shares and we got $21.76 per share for $30.41, down by 14.72% compared to the previous week. We then got 140 shares and $26.96 per share for $37.87, higher by 24.53% of the week 1. Then we went up to 141 shares. As you can see, we're compounding up slowly but surely. And we got $31.81 per share for $44.96. And that is 18.73% higher than week 2. And then for the last week, kind of a bad week. We got 146 shares. We compounded up by 5 shares. I added some of my money from the other ETFs. And we got a payment of $20.81. So even with the growth of the share count, we got $20.81, which gave us still a lower payment of $30.47, down by 32.23% compared to week 3. Looking at the monthly total, it's down by negative 13.10% compared to September. And September's is down by negative 30. Oh, I think I just clicked the wrong button. Let's go back. Oh, never mind. I just went too high. But just use that. But September is down by negative. I don't know why I'm clicking at this point. But September is down by negative 30.65%. I'm just making sure I didn't mess anything up on my charts. But it's down by negative 30.65% compared to August of $238.47. But to be frank, August did have technically 5 weeks of payments, and it also had the highest payments we've ever seen from QDTE of $56.86, $51.42, $47.65, and $47.58. And it seems like we've come back down to normal levels for QDTE of $32.94, $44.46, $19.53, $25.67. Now we're going back to the 20s and 30 range. But honestly, I do not mind it, because if you look at how much that totals up to a payment of $1.0134 per share a month. $1 per share per month is not bad at all. A lot of people are complaining that we're down to the 20-cent mark, and oh my god, these distributions are so low. But $1 per share a month, it's not bad at all, especially since the NAV stays stable and grows at some points as well, because it's able to capture that growth since it trades day-to-day basis, and is able to capture that day-to-day growth, and also captures the nightly growth, because they don't keep shares or don't keep options overnight. So if there's growth overnight in the QQQs, someone reports, earnings, and Nvidia reports earnings after hours, and the QQQs go up, you get that growth from QDTE. So not too shabby. I don't mind it at all. Sure, it's lower than I wanted it to. Maybe I want it to be around the $165 mark, or maybe I want it to be higher a little bit because I did add more shares, but I'm totally okay with this. As long as the NAV stays the same, I'm okay with these dividends that we are earning. And once again, that gives us a total of $638.75 earned so far from QDTE, and we've not owned it that long for November, or at least for 2024. We've only started investing into it in June. So not too bad at all. Lastly, we have our new dividend ETF of AMZY, which paid us $32.24. Let me move it to the side, since we didn't have this before, but October's the first month of owning it. First dividend we received, $32.24 is how much we've earned from AMZY. Not too bad. That's only 75 shares, I'm pretty sure, or maybe the time of the dividend it was a little bit lower. I think it was like 25 shares or 50 shares. Don't get me wrong, but $32.24 is not too bad at all. And since that is the last ETF and last dividend we received, how much is the total dividends received for the month of October? And that is $1,263.37, and that is beating last month's excuse the voice, that is beating last month's dividend per share by 20.55%. We beat last month's dividend total by 20.55%. of $1,048, and we beat the month prior of $1,182.19. So yes, the strategy, like I mentioned before, last month, I am focusing on that dividend income. I'm taking my options income and distributing it into dividends paying ETFs, especially the stable ones like QDTE and YMAX, because I want to grow my dividend income. Dividend income is very important. If you may or may not know, dividend income is what is reported on your taxes in the end of the year for your taxable income, and therefore you could take loans out on it. You could go ahead and hedge against it. Just many benefits for this income that you're earning. Also, if you're investing into QDTE and YMAX, which are stable paying ETFs and stable NAV, or don't experience much NAV erosion, therefore you're able to have stability in your account. This $1,263, I could guarantee myself, or at least plus or minus $100 or $200, that I'll be receiving that every single month. Sure, there'll be lower months if YieldMax cannot deliver or QDTE cannot deliver as good as it usually does, but I know it'll stay around the same pace or around the same line, plus or minus $100, $200, especially if I'm reinvesting back into it, 50% of the portfolio, and maybe I use the other 50%, whatever you want to do. I know I'm staying around that range. And especially if I wanted to, I could expedite the growth process of my portfolio even faster by taking this $1,263, buying contracts and options and trading on that and growing my income even faster, because option income gives me higher yields than these high yielding ETFs because I'm leveraging my money even more. Of course, it's riskier, but I'm just giving you an option that I could do. And this is just my mentality on why I'm growing my dividend income, just so I can fuel my option income a little bit easier. Option contracts are expensive, $1,500, $2,000 for good options income or option contracts. So I need this dividend income to be higher to fuel that option strategy. Talking about options, let's go ahead and move into them. Looking at our option income of how much we've made for the month of October, it is not that, it's not that interesting. It's not that impressive. There you go, that's the word for it. It's not that impressive. Riot did give us $234 earned for the month of October. As you can see, we earned nothing from the month before of September, and we earned $405 for August. So we're lower than August. We earned nothing in September, and now we're at $234 in in October, giving us a total earned of $5,315. And currently, those positions that earn me $234 are technically under the water. Riot has skyrocketed past $11. I think it's at $10.50 right now. But my contracts are $9.50. It has skyrocketed past that, and now I am technically underwater, and I have to either move the contracts up or extend them to, a further week, and hopefully, Riot comes back down, or I just sell out of the position, finally exiting Riot. But we'll have to see. I have to decide what's best for me, and that's something we'll have to decide for this upcoming month of November. Now, Mara, I no longer trade. TSLY, I no longer trade. But TNA, we are currently trading with Poorman Covered Call strategy, and that has earned us a total of $1,146 for October. Like I said, it's nothing impressive. Compared to the previous month of September and August, it's completely lower. $1,315 for September and $1,839 for August, and we've only earned $1,146 for October, giving us a total of $6,653 earned so far from TNA. I guess at least that number is impressive. $6,653 earned from so far for 2024, and we only started this maybe 3-4 months ago for TNA, Poorman Covered Call strategy, almost outpacing our dividend income for all of 2024, which is pretty impressive in that sense. But $1,146 earned. The reason it's so low for October is because, again, I was underwater for some of my positions. TNA spiked, or the Russell 2000 spiked, and therefore I had to move my contracts upwards to try and save them, because I do have lower options calls, which, of course, you buy on the low end. Those option calls I do not want to get rid of so far, or right now, because they are valuable. They have good value. I bought them at good prices, and I don't want to get rid of them, because then I would have to buy something at a higher price, at a higher contract price, and therefore, give me a little bit of a worse position that I am right now. That's why I'm moving my contracts upwards, not making that much income on the move up. But it's okay. because if TNA stables out, if Russell 2000 stables out a little bit after the election, hopefully, then we will be able to continue to make income like this of $1,839 and $1,300 and maybe even more, because we've added more contracts for the month of October. We've added, I think, 2 more contracts into the month of October. New option strategy, actually, you guys might be surprised. I actually posted this on Twitter, so if you do not follow me on Twitter, you can follow me there. The same thing as my YouTube handle. I've earned $125 from NVDS. And you might be asking, what is an NVDS? NVDS is a reverse, it's a hedge against Nvidia. Right, so it's betting against Nvidia. And you might be thinking, why am I betting into this? Well, I don't know. I think Nvidia will be down in the long run. I think Nvidia will be trending downwards soon. I think they've reached their max, but that's just my opinion. That's my opinion. So I'm betting against them. I bought a call expiring next year in 2026. Actually, 2 years, but it's in the beginning of 2026, so we'll say next year. Next year of beginning of 2026 is when I bought a call. On that call, I'll be running a Poorman call strategy, and that's why I've earned $125 on that buy call that I did, or a long call. I've sold a short call on that and earned $125. This I'll be able to trade every month. NVDS does not offer weekly trading. They only offer monthly trading, and therefore monthly income will be around the $100 mark being earned. And guess how much I put into this contract? I put $650 into this contract, and I've made $125 back already. And the long call has not lost any value. It has not lost any value, and I made $125. That's pretty good. That's pretty good, in my opinion. That's, what is that? Almost 25% return in a matter of a month. It's pretty good. Pretty good, I would have to say myself, but we'll see how it goes for the months on in the future. Of course, with that comes the total of how much I've made from option income, and that is $1,505 earned for the month of October. Yes, it is higher than the previous month of $1,315 from September, but that is because we had no Riot trade, we had no NVDS trade, and we only had the TNA income of $1,315. But here we had the Riot trade and the NVDS trade to back us up with the low TNA, and they gave us a total of $1,505. But it is lower than the $2,244 earned from the month of August. But still, that gives us a total of $13,916 earned so far from option trading for our account for 2024, which is really damn good. Of course, it is that time to look over how much our total income was for the month of October. And if you could do your math yourself right now, really quick, $1,505 and $1,263.37 comes out to a grand total of $2,768.37 earned for the month of October. Yes, $2,768.37 earned for the month of October. Higher than $2,363 from the month of September, but it is lower than the $3,426 earned for the month of August, giving us a total earned so far for 2024 of $23,552.58 earned. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. We are continuing to grow. As you can see, we continue to grow. We're still trending upwards. 2009, 2008, 2006, 3004, 2003, and now 2007. So we continue to trend upwards. We have our low months, we have our high months, but the trajectory is going upwards. Of course, we're adding the dividends back in, we're adding the option income back in, we're reinvesting, we're growing, and hopefully soon we'll be standing at a stable $3,000 a month mark. Hopefully by the end of this year. We have 2 more trading months to go through, and hopefully by these 2 trading months we are able to have a stable $3,000 earned from options and dividend income. And hopefully dividend income is able to get to $1,500 a month stable by the end of this year or starting of next year. Option income, I'm not too worried about. That could vary up and down. That's how options work. But dividend income, I want to have stable at $1,500 by the end of this year or start of next year. But that has been me. That has been the month of October and how much we've earned of $2,768.37. Thank you everybody so much for watching and supporting. Of course, you know, you guys have been doing great with the likes, shares, views, everything of that sort. So I hope you guys like this video. Just leave that like down below. It supports the channel. Of course, maybe share this video with somebody else because like I said before, YouTube has been slowing down on the views I've been receiving. So maybe share this video with some of your colleagues and friends if you want to, or you know, if they're even interested in this type of content. And be sure to like, subscribe, support the channel, of course. And I'll see you guys next week for next week's video, going over some more interesting stuff when it comes to YieldMax and Roundhill and option income. So thank you everybody so much for watching. I will see you guys next week, and I hope you guys enjoyed this little portfolio overview on the month. Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys next week.